Batman's Rogues Gallery is a treasure trove of captivating villains, and they've brought both chaos and charm to the silver screen. While The Dark Knight himself is compelling, it's the villains who truly spice up the stories. From the iconic Joker to the enigmatic Riddler and the two-faced Two-Face. See what I did there? Each evildoer has a unique way of stirring up trouble in Gotham and giving Batman a run for his money. And speaking of the Joker, he reigns supreme as Batman's most beloved nemesis. Various actors have donned the clown makeup, each bringing their own brand of menace, be it Jack Nicholson's maniacal charm, Heath Ledger's haunting portrayal, or Mark Hamill's iconic voice work. Of course, not every villain adaptation hits the mark, and some villains have landed more on the funny side than the fearsome. Nevertheless, Batman has faced a slew of spine-tingling adversaries in his live-action film outing. So, without further ado, let's dive into the top 15 Batman live-action movie villains. In this video, we will explore all 15 major villains that Batman has fought in his standalone live-action movies, which means that you won't find villains like Darkseid and Steppenwolf. Let's begin, shall we? Before we go into our explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us it means a lot. Thank you, and let's begin. Joker. Joker is practically what makes Batman who he is. Without this guy, Batman would not be the awesome hero that he is. Joker and Batman are basically the two sides of the same coin. Without one, the other would become useless. And over the course of time, amazing actors such as Jack Nicholson, Heath Ledger, Jared Leto, and Joaquin Phoenix have painted this character in their own interesting colors, each more vibrant than the next. So let's take a look at how each of the Jokers was unique.
Oh, they don't make them like they used to!
Batman 1989. In this film, Jack Nicholson plays the Joker. He went by the name Jack Napier and had a twisted past with Batman. The Joker, originally a mobster, got disfigured in a brawl with Batman and then decided he'd outdo and kill the Cape Crusader. In fact, Nicholson's Joker took inspiration from Steve Englehart and Marshall Rogers' comic run and had a touch of the Golden Age elements. The Dark Knight 2008. The late Heath Ledger gave us a memorable performance as the Joker. This time he's a new face in the world of crime in Gotham who is all about unmasking and taking down Batman with no clear backstory. Well, he had many, but the man kept changing it, so we do not know if any of those were in fact true. Ledger's Joker was extremely realistic, using makeup and rocking a Glasgow smile. Even his schemes and grand plans were simply well throughout. This take borrowed heavily from the Killing Joke comic. Ledger's performance earned him an Oscar even posthumously, and I suppose there would be few who would reach the bar he has set. Suicide Squad 2016. Jared Leto stepped into the Joker's shoes for the DC Extended Universe. This Joker was more of a gangster vibe, even being called Gotham's criminal king. He was in Suicide Squad as a thorn in Task Force X's side and also made a cameo in Birds of Prey. Leto's Joker even popped up in a Justice League director's cut scene from the Nightmare timeline. Leto could not do what Ledger did, but he was amazing in his own right. Joker 2019. Joaquin Phoenix took on the role in a standalone film. This Joker was called Arthur Fleck, a struggling stand-up comedian who spirals into chaos and crime, eventually becoming the Joker. Arthur Fleck has not yet stepped into the shoes of Joker as Joker, the clown prince of crime, but it would not take long, I assume. Phoenix's performance earned him an Oscar, making it the second for a Joker portrayal. In fact, a sequel is set to release on October 4th next year. Joker Folie à Deux would star Phoenix and Lady Gaga as Joker and Harley Quinn, respectively.
Oh, you're afraid he makes you look soft.
The Batman 2022. Here, we get a glimpse of the Joker as an unnamed inmate at Arkham State Hospital, played by Barry Keoghan. It's a pre-Joker version described by the director as someone who's had a run-in with Batman but hasn't quite fully embraced the identity. Basically, something on the same lines as Phoenix's Arthur Fleck.
How to disappear. We can teach you to become truly invisible.
Ra's al Ghul. Ra's al Ghul has appeared only twice in the movies, more specifically the first and third films of Christopher Nolan's trilogy, and both times he was played by the veteran Liam Neeson, better known for finding and killing people. Ra's al Ghul started as a skilled mercenary, falling in love with the daughter of a warlord he worked for. When the warlord found out about his secret marriage, Ra's was tossed into a nasty prison known as the Pit. Later, the warlord sent Ra's pregnant wife to the same hellish place where his daughter Talia was born. Ra's later joined the League of Shadows, an ancient group into some shady business. He rose to the top not knowing his family was still stuck in that prison. Talia managed to escape with the help of a guy named Bane, who was also in the same prison. When they reunited with Ra's, he got revenge on those responsible for his wife's death, but showed Bane the door, considering him a constant reminder of his wife's suffering. Ra's and the League of Shadows had a plan to wreck Gotham City using economics. They believed that by making cities pay for their decadence, they were saving the world from going down the drain. However, they didn't account for folks like Thomas Wayne, who built a cheap public transport system to help Gotham. Ra's, going by the alias Henry Ducard, found Bruce Wayne in a Chinese prison and offered him a way to join the League. After a ton of training, Ducard, who was actually Ra's al Ghul, Ra's revealed the League's plan to destroy Gotham and expected Bruce to lead a charge. Of course, Bruce declined. Later, he reappeared and planned to use Scarecrow's fear toxin to make Gotham go nuts. In the end, Ra's overconfidence got the best of him and Batman left him on the exploding train, which was the end of the line for Ra's al Ghul. Liam Neeson's portrayal of the character brought a new charm to the comic version. This guy was more on the lines of James Bond than a supervillain. There was definitely an air of mystery that Neeson carried around as Ra's al Ghul.
Mr. Peel, we saw him take it from you at gunpoint.
Gunpoint?
The Riddler. Batman, the movie 1966. The Riddler in this classic was all about brain power. He oozed confidence and loved leaving tricky riddles, puzzles, and clues for Batman to solve. Interestingly, he just couldn't commit a crime without giving away how he could be caught. Unfortunately for him, Batman had the brains to crack even his toughest conundrums, leading to his defeat every time.
Let me demonstrate.
Batman Forever 1995. Jim Carrey played Edward Nygma, a tech whiz working at Wayne Enterprises. He was a hardcore Bruce Wayne fan with Wayne's face plastered all over his workspace. Nygma dreamed up a gadget to beam TV straight into your brain, but his boss didn't buy it. When Bruce turned down the idea, Nygma got miffed. To put it mildly, he secretly tested his brainwave device on his boss and discovered he could suck up people's knowledge. When the boss found out and got fired, Nygma sent him on an involuntary swan dive out of the window. Then he faked it as a suicide, resigned, and hatched a plan to get even with Wayne. The Batman 2022. Played by Paul Dano, the Riddler in this newer version is a seriously twisted serial killer. He despises Gotham's corrupt elite, big time. Growing up in a Wayne-owned orphanage, he was the odd one out, especially in Bruce Wayne's eyes, which turned him into a bitter and envious dude. He's not just a vain smarty pants, he's also a sadist who likes to stage gruesome, creative murders and air them on TV. He's on a mission to expose Gotham's dirty secrets to the public and has a serious obsession with Batman, who he sees as the source of his motivation to cleanse the city. He wears his Riddler persona like a mask to be his true, unrestrained self. Catwoman. Batman Returns 1992. Michelle Pfeiffer slinked into the role of Catwoman. She starts as Selina Kyle, an underappreciated secretary working for a big shot named Max Schreck. When Schreck tries to off her to cover his shady schemes, Selina transforms into Catwoman, seeking revenge. She crosses paths with Batman and the Penguin, forming alliances and rivalries. Pfeiffer's perfect performance in this role earned her heaps of praise. Catwoman 2004. Halle Berry took a swing at the cat burglar role in the 2004 film. She played Patience Phillips, a gal who turns into Catwoman after a supernatural resurrection by the Egyptian cat goddess Bast. Patience goes on to prowl to uncover her killer's identity and a sinister connection to her company's products. Sadly, this one was a box office bomb and not a fan favorite, earning Berry a not-so-coveted Golden Raspberry Award for Worst Actress. The Dark Knight Rises 2012. Anne Hathaway slinked into the role of Selina Kyle in the final film of Christopher Nolan's Dark Knight trilogy. She's a skilled thief for hire who eventually teams up with Batman to tackle Bane and the League of Shadows. While the movie doesn't explicitly call her Catwoman, she gets a nod as the Cat in a newspaper headline. Hathaway's portrayal got a thumbs up from fans and critics. The Batman 2022. In the latest rendition, Zoe Kravitz takes on the role. This Catwoman's backstory is rooted in Batman Year One and the Long Halloween comics. She's Carmine Falcone's illegitimate daughter, forced to fend for herself after her mom met a tragic end at her father's hands. Posing as a waitress at the Iceberg Lounge, she secretly swipes from the rich and powerful. She crosses paths with Batman and starts her journey to becoming Catwoman.
Damn it, will you stop pointing that gun at my family?
Two-Face. Batman 1989. Billy D. Williams introduced Harvey Dent in Tim Burton's '89 Batman flick. He's Gotham's district attorney and a close pal of Mayor Borg and Commissioner Gordon. Although he doesn't make a return in Batman Returns, his story continues in Batman '89 comic series, where he transforms into Two-Face and faces off with a Dark Knight.
Blind, stupid, simple, doodah, clueless.
Batman Forever 1995. In the third film of the Batman series, we meet Tommy Lee Jones's Two-Face. This time, he's one of the main villains and has a serious grudge against Batman for not saving him from his disfigurement. He joins forces with the Riddler and appears to be more dominant, making decisions without relying on his infamous coin toss. While initially praised, this version of Two-Face has faced criticism over the years, with some finding it a tad too manic. The Dark Knight 2008. Aaron Eckhart takes on the role of Harvey Dent in Christopher Nolan's The Dark Knight. He's Gotham's new district attorney, fighting organized crime alongside Batman and Lieutenant Gordon. He's also got a love triangle going with Rachel Dawes and Bruce Wayne. After the Joker's chaos, Dent is left disfigured and loses Rachel, which sends him down a dark path of vigilantism. Eckhart's performance and the pre-disfigured Harvey Dent have been well received, however the Two-Face part has received mixed reviews. The Dark Knight Rises. While Dent's not physically present in the third film, his legacy plays a big role. Batman and Gordon have kept this vigilante spree a secret to keep the peace in Gotham, but Bane and the League of Shadows exposes the truth as part of their plan to shake up the city's political system. The Penguin. Batman the Movie 1966. The Penguin disguises himself as the Commodore and gains access to the Batcave with 5 dehydrated henchmen. However, these henchmen vanish when they are struck due to being rehydrated with toxic heavy water used to recharge the Batcave's atomic pile. This causes them to become highly unstable. The Penguin's plan to infiltrate the Batcave and use the henchmen in his scheme fails, leading to his ultimate defeat by Batman and Robin. It was a memorable performance by Burgess Meredith, but the next two are better. Batman Returns 1992. In this Tim Burton film, Danny DeVito takes on the role of the Penguin, Oswald Cobblepot. It's a far cry from the dapper crime boss you might expect. This Penguin is more like a freak of nature, with flipper-like fingers, a beak-like nose, and a penguin-like body. He's got a twisted backstory too, raised by actual penguins in Gotham's condemned zoo after being ditched by his wealthy parents as a baby. He resurfaces as an adult with plans to be Gotham's hero and even ran for mayor, all while secretly plotting to off all the city's firstborn sons. This version of the Penguin divided opinions due to the radical shift in his character, but DeVito's performance got a thumbs up and also left an impression, influencing later depictions of the character.
Whoa, whoa, whoa! Take it easy, sweetheart. You looking for me?
The Batman 2022. In this fresh take, Penguin, aka Oswald Cobblepot, is portrayed by Colin Farrell. He's not a big bad in this Gotham tale. He runs the Iceberg Lounge, a hotspot for the city's upper crust and the criminal crowd, who happen to be one and the same. Batman, played by Robert Pattinson, pays him a visit for some info on the club's patrons. Penguin plays it cool but doesn't fool the Cape Crusader. Farrell's makeup job is extensive and eerily convincing. He tested it out at a Starbucks and no one there even noticed noticed anything was off. Farrell's performance is spot on, giving Penguin a sleazy, low-class crook vibe. He's not exactly the brains of the operation, but he's got a knack for making Batman and Commissioner Gordon look a bit foolish when they misread a clue written in Spanish. Penguin, the seemingly dim character, ends up schooling the two supposed super smart heroes.
This has cost you your strength. Victory has defeated you.
Bane. Batman and Robin 1997. In this less than stellar Batman flick, we meet Antonio Diego, a lifer in the South American jail of Pena Duro. He becomes the guinea pig for Dr. Woodrow's Project Gilgamesh. They shave his head, drill some holes in his skull, and then pump him full of an experimental drug called Venom. The result, Diego transforms into a hulking monstrous powerhouse with superhuman strength. He becomes Dr. Woodrow's ideal killing machine. Despite the movie's campy nature, Bane's makeover is pretty intense. The Dark Knight Rises 2012. Now this is the Bane we remember. He's a skilled fighter honed in the pit and later trained by the League of Shadows. When he tussles with Batman, it's clear he means business. He relies on Bruce's strength, quick thinking, and a ruthless fighting style. Bane can snap necks and crush windpipes without breaking a sweat. He also sports a mask that administers anesthetic gas, keeping his pain in check, but it's a double-edged sword. If the mask gets damaged, the pain pours in. Tom Hardy's portrayal is something to behold. He bulked up big time for the role and gained several pounds gorging on pizza to make Bane look larger than Batman, played by Christian Bale. Hardy's unique choice of speech, like a circus ringleader with a busted megaphone, adds to Bane's mystique. Movie magic also helps maintain the illusion of Bane's imposing presence on screen. People often disagree with me, but I sincerely believe that Hardy as Bane is one of the most iconic cinematic villains. He's a force of carnage, a venom that can kill you slowly or quickly, depending on how he's feeling. Of course, Nolan brought his magic to make the character do larger-than-life sorts of things, but you've got to give Bane the credit he deserves. Poison Ivy. In the 1997 film Batman and Robin, Poison Ivy's backstory sticks close to her comic book origins. She begins as an ally to Dr. Jason Woodrow, who's knee-deep in botanical experiments. However, things take a wicked turn when she sees the unethical nature of Woodrow's work and how it harms plants. In retaliation, Woodrow tosses her into the very experiments she opposed, transforming her into the fierce Poison Ivy. She promptly disposes of Woodrow and heads to Gotham, targeting Bruce Wayne for his role in the affair. The movie takes some wild turns as she inexplicably pairs up with Mr. Freeze despite their vastly different goals and powers. Like many a Batman villain, Ivy pushes the boundaries, and Batgirl ultimately takes her down. Surprisingly, even when she's off the rails, Ivy's environmental concerns strike a chord. She presents Wayne with a proposition that prioritizes saving the planet over human life, and while that didn't sit well in 1997, it carries a different weight in today's climate-conscious world. Back then, it was easy to scoff at her idea, but they seem eerily prescient now. However, there are aspects of Uma Thurman's Ivy that don't quite hit the mark. She inexplicably falls for Mr. Freeze in record time just because he's immune to her charms. In this rendition, she relies heavily on her pheromones, and Bane ends up doing most of the heavy lifting, which diminishes her own formidable powers. It's a missed opportunity to see Thurman in a more dynamic role, especially given her late performances. The film also raises questions about why Ivy's powers seem to affect only men, a puzzling inconsistency. This portrayal falls into the sexist traps that have plagued the character in the comics, where her potency is often undermined. Batman and Robin may not be a cinematic masterpiece, but Thurman's Ivy is far from a bad performance. In an alternate universe, more people might recognize it for the iconic portrayal it truly is, winning the hearts of fans who later became her ardent supporters.
Now, I wouldn't have a second's hesitation in blowing your head off right here and right now in front of him.
Carmine Falcone. Batman Begins 2005. Carmine Falcone ruled Gotham City with an iron grip, dredging it in crime and drugs. He had politicians and police in his back pocket, and it was almost like he owned the place. He even shared a prison cell with Joe Chill, the man who took the lives of Bruce Wayne's parents. When Chill threatened to testify against him, Falcone's operative disguised as a reporter silenced Chill, robbing Bruce of his chance for revenge. Later, Falcone joined forces with Dr. Jonathan Crane and Ra's Ra's al Ghul to smuggle fear toxin into Gotham hidden in toy rabbits. In a bid to dodge prison, Crane declared Falcone's henchmen insane, but Batman, who had emerged as the city's vigilante, exposed their sinister plot. He left Falcone tied up and suspended like a makeshift bat signal for the police to find. While incarcerated, Falcone tried to strike a deal with Crane regarding their partnership with Ra's al Ghul, but Crane, donning the eerie scarecrow mask, used his fear-inducing toxins on Falcone, driving him into madness. Falcone's new home became Arkham Asylum, where he could only mutter Scarecrow. In The Dark Knight, Falcone remains locked up a year later. His crime family has a new boss, Sal Maroni. The Batman 2022. Carmine Falcone is the archetypal crime lord. He's got smarts, cunning, and an ego the size of Gotham, and ruthlessness that sends shivers down your spine. During his reign, he exudes luxury and elegance, but still manages to charm those who fall into his web of trust. Falcone's cruelty knows no bounds. He hijacked the Gotham Renewal Corporation's fund and turned the city into his criminal playground for 2 decades. He even has a penchant for strangling women who cross him, leaving a trail of darkness in his wake. Despite his evil ways, Falcone can wear the mask of an honorable criminal. He earned the respect of people like Thomas Wayne, even though he had his own devious agenda. He's quite the hedonist and a ladies' man, often surrounded by beautiful companions. In a city plagued by crime, Carmine Falcone is a formidable and cunning figure, one who leaves an indelible mark on Gotham's underworld.
I got him! Robin, no!
Mr. Freeze. In Batman and Robin, Mr. Freeze was one of the main villains, with Arnold Schwarzenegger stepping into the icy role. His character, originally a scientist, had a heart-wrenching motive: finding a cure for his terminally ill wife, Nora, who suffered from McGregor syndrome. Unfortunately, a cryofluid accident turned him into a frosty figure, forcing him to leave in sub-zero temperatures and rely on a specialized suit. Mr. Freeze's grand plan was to snatch enough diamonds to construct a freezing engine capable of plunging all of Gotham into an eternal winter. Why? To fund his research and save Nora, of course, but things get frostier when he joined forces with Poison Ivy. Little did he know Ivy had unplugged Nora's life-saving equipment and framed Batman for it. Blinded by revenge against humanity and making way for Ivy's plant-filled vision, Mr. Freeze puts Gotham on ice. Yet things took a turn when Batman confronted him, revealing the truth about Nora's recovery and the opportunity to continue his research at Arkham Asylum. Mr. Freeze shared some of the research on McGregor syndrome, with the Dark Knight handling over antidote vials to save another victim, Alfred. He then made a chilling promise to Ivy, vowing to make her life a living nightmare for what she did to Nora and her betrayal. Schwarzenegger's portrayal of Mr. Freeze is often criticized, but it's worth noting that he wasn't the worst version of the character, and he had the potential to be something great. Batman and Robin may not have done justice to this compelling villain, but it's not the end of the story to Mr. Freeze in the Batman movie universe.
Having trouble. Take a seat.
Scarecrow. In Batman Begins, we're introduced to Jonathan Crane, portrayed by Cillian Murphy, a psychologist with an unusual approach to criminal justice. He has a bit of sending the city's violent wrongdoers to Arkham Asylum for a special brand of therapy. This idea of treatment involves experimenting with his fear-inducing toxin instead of the traditional jail sentence. This curious professional has some shady connections too. He's in cahoots with the crime boss Carmine Falcone, helping him smuggle drugs from his fear experiments. In return, Crane uses his fear toxin on Falcone, sealing his fate in Arkham to keep him quiet about their dirty dealings. Cillian Murphy's performance captures Crane's contempt for those unburdened by fear and paranoia. He presents himself as a psychologist draped in clinical jargon, all while subjecting unsuspecting victims to his fear toxin. It's a dark twist on the comforting image one expects from a therapist. Crane may be the story's supervillain, but he comes across more as a snobbish know-it-all who looks down to those who don't share his obsession with fear's grip on the mind. He once stated that I have respect for the mind's power over the body, all while having little regard for the bodies under that control. In The Dark Knight, Scarecrow briefly resurfaces. He's out of Arkham now, dealing drugs on the streets while sporting a suede suit and his signature Scarecrow mask. However, Batman swiftly intervenes, handling Scarecrow a defeat he won't forget anytime soon. Oddly enough, the film doesn't revisit this character, leaving Scarecrow's drug-dealing escapades behind. Fast forward 8 fiction years to The Dark Knight Rises, Gotham has become a lawless prison under Bane's rule. and Crane makes a surprising comeback. This time, he's traded the Scarecrow mask for a torn suit, creating an unintentional Scarecrow-esque appearance. He presides over a makeshift court where former figures of power are judged with grim consequences. Crane, with an impish grin and a power-hungry attitude, appears to revel in his newfound authority. The years without Batman and the lingering effects of the fear toxin seem to have unlocked his I don't care side. Cillian Murphy relishes every moment of his limited 2-minute screen time, and all Cillian Murphy's portrayal of the Scarecrow is a standout performance combining his calm exterior, unwavering conviction, and the sardonic wit to create a memorable character in the Batman trilogy. Talia al Ghul. Talia al Ghul's story is quite the dramatic saga. Her mother, the daughter of a powerful warlord, fell in love with Ra's al Ghul, who was a mere mercenary back in the day. Their romance was a well-kept secret as the warlord strongly disapproved of his character's choice. When the truth surfaced, Ra's was handed a life sentence in the pit, a grim prison. However, Talia's mother, who was carrying Ra's child, insisted on taking his place in confinement. This motherly sacrifice led to the birth of Talia while locked away in the pit. Sadly, her mother's life was cut short by fellow inmates, leaving Talia orphaned. In a stroke of fate, another pit-born man, Bane, befriended her and became her protector. One day, he valiantly shielded her from fellow prisoners, allowing her to climb out of the pit and taste freedom. She sought her estranged father, Ra's al Ghul, and together they embarked on the path of the League of Shadows, a clandestine organization with grand ambitions. Talia adopted the alias Miranda Tate and gradually wove a complex web to manipulate Bruce Wayne and ultimately unleash havoc upon Gotham City. Talia is one of the select few to conquer the pit's challenging escape, achieving this remarkable feat as a child. Raised and trained by the League of Shadows, she mastered the arts of deception, persistence, and patience. Her outward charm, intelligence, acts of charity, and environmental advocacy became her tools for manipulation. Her wealth and her father's legacy were the means to carry out her mission of restoring balance through destructive means. While her patience could be considered a potential weakness as she delayed the detonation of the nuclear bomb, she was determined to make Batman witness the demise of Gotham. In the grand scheme of primary antagonists in this series, Talia ranks as the fifth among the 6 notable ones. She belongs to the top echelon, falling short only to the likes of Scarecrow, who brings a profound depth to his motivations. This assessment remains true despite her divisive character status. Marion Cotillard delivers a committed and impressive performance as this villain, even if her character's relatively brief demise doesn't significantly impact the overall quality of the films. Dr. Jason Woodrow. Dr. Jason Woodrow, a twisted scientist, once had a cozy deal with Wayne Enterprises, but when they cut his funding, he set up shop in a remote lab down in South America. There, he began working on some seriously questionable experiments. He dabbled with plant toxins, creating a super serum known as Venom, which could turn regular folks into brawny behemoths. Woodrow's little project, dubbed Project Gilgamesh, was anything but voluntary. He used unwilling prisoners as guinea pigs, looking for that one magical formula. After some unsettling trials, he hit the jackpot with Antonio Diego, a scrawny lifer convicted of some serious serial murders. Diego's transformation into a hulking monster aptly named Bane was Woodrow's claim to fame. The scientist had grand plans to peddle these super soldiers to unsavory characters from the ununited nations. Now, Dr. Pamela Isley was part of Woodrow's operation, and her research played a significant role in his success. When she stumbled upon the gruesome experiments, Woodrow tried to rope her into his morally questionable pursuits, but Isley wasn't having it. She was downright appalled by the inhumanity of it all, and she made it clear she was about to blow the whistle on his madness. Woodrow didn't take the rejection well and didn't appreciate being called out for his psycho tendencies. In the original script, things got even more twisted as it revealed Woodrow had some improper intentions toward Isley, bordering on harassment. His feelings for her went from attraction to obsession. He even made a move to kiss her when he asked her to join forces. But when she shot him down and ridiculed him, his infatuation turned to violence. Victor Zsasz. Victor Zsasz, a ruthless killer, called Gotham City his hunting ground, working as a mob hitman. In Batman Begins, he's under the employ of crime boss Carmine Falcone, doing some pretty gruesome work for the mob. Dr. Jonathan Crane, aka Scarecrow, even attested in court that Zsasz was legally insane and needed rehabilitation at Arkham Asylum. But things got even crazier. During an Arkham Asylum breakout, Zsasz, along with a bunch of other inmates, finds his way back onto the streets of Gotham. He almost goes after Rachel Dawes and a kid, but luckily Batman steps in just in time to thwart him. Now, it's interesting to note that during The Dark Knight, Zsasz is still out there at large and causing mayhem. In a video game adaptation of Batman Begins, we get to see more of Zsasz in action. He's imprisoned by Detective Flask in a construction building near Gotham's Black Market. Flask tries to squeeze information about Jonathan Crane out of him, but Zsasz clams up. Batman goes to the rescue, slicing the chains that bind Zsasz with a well-placed shuriken. Zsasz goes after Flask, which gives Batman the opening he needs for an interrogation. In the game, there's also a nerve-wracking showdown where Zsasz terrorizes Rachel Dawes in one of De Niro's train stations, and Batman, of course, shows up to save the day. Max Shreck. In Batman Returns, Max Shreck is one of the top baddies alongside Catwoman and Penguin. He's not your typical Batman villain though. Instead of donning a fancy costume or having superpowers, he's a cold-hearted business tycoon in Gotham City. Shreck's grand plan revolves around a colossal power plant project, which unbeknownst to the city is a part of his shady scheme to hoard Gotham's energy resources. When his plea for support from Mayor Jenkins and Bruce Wayne falls on deaf ears, he turns to the Penguin for help. But the Penguin, in his quest for public adoration, has a condition. He wants to be Gotham's new mayor, and Shreck finds himself backing this bizarre aspiration. What makes Max Shreck stand out is that he's not just another cookie-cutter Batman villain. He's grounded in reality, dealing in corporate corruption, rather than over-the-top super-villainy. This makes him a compelling adversary for Batman. He also ventures into Batman's civilian life, giving Bruce Wayne a villain to face without wearing the cape and cowl. Shreck is downright sinister. He is responsible for numerous deaths, and his wealth shields him from the reach of the law, including Batman's brand of justice. His nefarious actions and willingness to eliminate anyone in his path showcases a darker side of Gotham's elite. Shreck doesn't meet his doom at the hands of Batman, but instead at the claws of Catwoman. It was a fitting end for a character who embodies the corruption that plagues Gotham, making Max Shreck one of the most intriguing and quietly compelling villains in Batman's cinematic history. And there you have it. That was our list of the top 15 Batman villains. In case you think we missed someone, do let us know in the comments below.
If you liked our content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to us if you haven't already. Have a good one and be safe. Thanks, everyone.